Cloudcast Media.
Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media. You're going to be listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show. We are the nation's longest running community podcast in our 20th year. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union for 6 decades. Been doing great things for people living in San Diego County, whether it's food insecurity, it's Alzheimer's. They work very closely with the homeless and Father Joe's villages and so forth. Just a great community partner. Honored to have a return appearance from A New Path. That's Parents for Addictions or Treatment and Healing. Back in the saddle again is Gretchen Burns Bergman. She is the executive director. Good to see you, Gretchen. How you doing?
Good to see you too. This is not my normal voice.
That's okay. It sounds very, very distinguished in all that aspect of it. And honored to have your son in Elon Burns, OD prevention specialist and drug and alcohol counselor for A New Path. And Elon, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
So I'll let either one of you just talk about the mission of the organization. Who wants to do? You do that, Gretchen, right?
I'll start as long as my voice holds out.
It'll be fine.
I'll pitch in if I have to.
Absolutely.
So in 1999, we started A New Path, Parents for Addiction, Treatment, and Healing. And it was 3 parents who had young adults who are struggling with substance use disorders and worsened by criminal justice response to it. My son Elon was arrested at 20 years old for possession of marijuana, which started 11 years of cycling in and out of prison. And I knew that was the wrong way to handle this situation. I knew it was an illness and that it should be handled as a public health issue and not as a criminal justice issue. So we started advocating, and it was amazing when we started speaking out because there was so much stigma in and around addictive illness that when I started speaking out, it sort of gave permission to others to speak out. So there are so many families struggling. So our primary goal is to reduce stigma, and 27 years later, it's still our primary goal to reduce stigma, because stigma, it runs through all layers of society.
You know, I'm glad you brought that up. And we were talking before the show started about our dear friend Jean McAllister of the McAllister Institute. I think she's 92 years young now for that aspect, and has been sober, I think 60 plus years, recovering in this aspect of it. Anybody who knows Jean, she's been a force. And I know, Elon, we'll talk a little bit about your experiences there, of course, and what you folks do. And I say this all the time, and whether it's with addiction or whether it's with developmentally disabled folks, hope I'm alive when the stigma gets away. Without being a Pollyanna, no one said Drew and Pollyanna in the same sentence, I'll tell you that right now. But the point is that we hope that's going to happen. It should. There's no question. I'm preaching to the congregation when it comes to that as well. We just need more of that congregation to understand it should not be. And then things come from that. So Elon, thank you for coming on. So just talk about your pathway, no pun intended on this. At age 20, obviously, the incident that happened, and it had some struggles, correct?
Yes. Well, I think starting real early, I got into smoking marijuana. At the time, it just kept causing me problems because the way we looked at it then, as soon as you get caught with weed or caught smoking weed in school or whatever, all of a sudden you're the bad kid. You get kicked out of school. You go to, a secondary school, which is meant for what they quote unquote call bad kids. And your trajectory's kind of pushed at that point.
Right.
At 20, I got arrested as an adult. And it started, obviously tried to fight cases. So it started the county jail, and then it led to prison. And I lost about 4 years altogether, incarcerated. in '99, I was leaving prison when they started A New Path. Now, at that point, I was I had opiate use disorder. I was using heroin.
Right.
I actually learned how to shoot heroin in prison, as a matter of fact. So anybody that thinks that, just lock them up, that'll keep them safe, it's not the way to go. Substance use disorder, the reason stigma so much is because we gave it to the criminal justice 100 years ago instead of kept it with the doctors. But anyway, she said she was starting this new path because she, as much as it's advocating for reduced stigma, they were advocating for drug laws that were not so punitive, treatment instead of incarceration for people with substance use disorder. And she asked if she could tell my story. Now, I wasn't really big on wanting to get in the spotlight, not because I was, I was scared to tell people my story or the stigma did it, just because, I had no hope that I was going to get better. I thought my life was going to be in and out of prison, and kind of one of the rules in there is you don't talk about that stuff. But in my heart, even though I had no hope treatment was going to work for me, I knew it was the right thing to do. So I gave her, carte blanche to tell my story at the time.
Yeah, and from a mom's standpoint, when that happened, it just changed everything, did it not, Gretchen?
It really did. I always say, when is it their story? When is it your story? The truth is, this is a family situation.
100%.
We all struggle with it. So it's our story. But I've always been very, very impressed and proud that he allowed me to tell a story. Now, I don't think he thought it was going to balloon and that his face was going to be all over the news.
Yeah, totally.
Well, one, that's a courageous step, to say the least. That's the understatement of the world in this aspect. And when we talk about these types of things, whether it's with addiction, it doesn't make a difference if it's alcohol or drugs in this area, or it's even just you're healing someone from cancer, or if it's not just the person you're healing, you're healing the family and then the orbit of that family, for everybody you have touched. So really kudos to you for taking that step, and obviously the lives you have changed besides yourself, and of course your moms and your brothers as well, and everybody else is just is huge on this. Talk a little bit, if you can, about the overdose prevention work with naloxone.
Okay. One of the bills we advocated for was the naloxone back in 2014, and my courageous mother went up to Sacramento to testify on the bill. That's when it got passed. That made naloxone free and available to everybody. At that point, enough people were dying, and probably enough people from the right area codes or zip codes were dying, and so politicians actually started listening to about the deaths. So we were advocacy from 99 to 2014. We never did direct service, but because of stigma, and this was definitely stigmatized when we started, there was not an organization in San Diego that was prepared to actually go through with distributing it. So we became San Diego's first naloxone provider. Wow. Just out of necessity. Just out of necessity. And it's amazing to watch it today as opposed to 2014, how much pushback we got back then, how many more people are open to my message now, how many more people will have me come give trainings now. It's blown up.
Well, when it saves lives and it saves families, it usually does that. And I think to the point, people need to know about this. And it's like almost anything, drug overdose and alcoholism and all that doesn't know your zip code. It doesn't know where you grew up, doesn't know where you were born. It just knows you, and that's it. And then when people understand that, if you think you're safe from this and it's never going to touch you, then that's the wrong way of doing it. We're chatting with our good friends from the A New Path, standing for Parents for Addiction Treatment and Healing, Gretchen Burns Bergman. She is the executive director with her son, Elon Burns, telling his compelling story, OD prevention specialist and drug and alcohol counselor. I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media, listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show. We are the nation's longest-running community podcast in our 20th year, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union. 60 years of just doing phenomenal things in our community. So, Gretchen, when you came up to Sacramento or wherever you went, and probably were shouting from the mountaintops, certainly they're going, who is this person? Why is she doing this? Well, just because she has sons she cares about, for God's sake. That's why she's doing it. But certainly you had the fortitude to say, no, I'm going to fight this battle till this thing gets going. And now look at where it is. Here we are, 12 years later in this area. So are people embracing this now?
Finally, yeah. I have to go backwards a little
Please.
bit. My time in Sacramento has been a long history. So in 2000, I was the state chair of Proposition 36, which mandated treatment instead of incarceration. So after that time, I'd been to Sacramento. Oh, that did pass, bringing treatment to so many folks who hadn't had it before, and starting a trend of more therapeutic drug laws throughout the nation, really. California was the first. So when I went up to Sacramento in 2014 to say that, look, I'm a mother, my child has a disease, your child has EpiPen in your medicine cabinet, mine should have naloxone because he's got a substance use disorder. And that was the message. I should say, because I'm not sure everybody knows what naloxone is, because it now is known by the trade name of Narcan, but it's a safe drug that can quickly reverse an opioid overdose. And it's so safe that if you gave it to somebody that didn't have opioids in their system, it would be like giving them water. So there's should have been no stigma about saving lives, right? It's just a no-brainer.
Well, one of our frequent guests is a very dear friend of mine, known him for quite a while. That's Deacon Jim Vargas. Jim is the CEO of Father Joe's Villages, and certainly this conversation comes up every time I have Jim on the show, and he talks about some of the pushback he fights against when they use Narcan, folks on the street. Because, Drew, I cannot save someone who's dead,
Exactly.
but I can save somebody that from this. And at least we're giving this person a chance to recover, do whatever. They may go right back and do what they're doing before. You can't heal someone who's dead, okay?
Second, third, fourth, fifth chances, right?
Exactly. And you guys get that, and Jim is pretty forceful when he comes to that. He gets some pushback on it, and so I'm so glad you're bringing that up. Talk a little bit about what you do, Elon. You facilitate. Is it MARA?
Okay. MARA, Medication Assisted Recovery Anonymous. Well, it gets back to stigma. For so long, even to this day, so I'm going to give you a little backup.
Please.
Even to this day, as much as it's grown, as much as more people know about naloxone, Narcan,
right.
as much as more people are on the page because so many people know someone who's lost a life. I mean, just hundreds and thousands of lives that needlessly lost.
Right.
There's this ingrained thing that they'll come to the table and sometimes they'll say, this isn't for me, I don't do drugs. And it shows that, there's still this big shame, for generation after generation, we have taught people that it's such a shameful act, that, it has to be in the closet. If you do it, you're somehow lesser of a person. And that's still instilled in it. So in recovery, we've always taught if you have a problem with the drug, you have to quit all drugs and alcohol, which I have no problem with, actually, but we tell people you have to fit in this container, and if you don't believe you belong in this container where you're not ready to do that, then go away and hit a bottom until you're ready to do that. And it's only been recently that things like medication assisted treatment have been available in treatment facilities because of stigma and things of that nature. But to this day, if you do, there's this idea that you're not really in recovery. Like if it's not exactly how they said it's supposed to look, it's not really recovery. And so all of a sudden you don't think you deserve a support group, which I think everybody needs.
100%.
If you're striving for improvement and that kind of stuff. So I'm just trying to get this to grow, say that, a 12-step program is available to everyone, even if you haven't found complete abstinence at this point, even if, you still smoke pot because you think it's better than the drugs that the pharmaceutical company gives you. Right. Even if you have opiate use disorder and you need a medication to keep you stable, there is a program for you. You deserve this recovery. Come get it.
Yeah, and I imagine, Elon and Gretchen, there are so many families. We just heard from our next guest who's going to be on the show, chatting a little bit about how it impacted his family as well. And almost like, somebody who has cancer, it's very, very hard to find someone who doesn't know somebody directly that's been impacted. And the same thing with addiction. I certainly know that it's been close to the family that I'm in, not necessarily my direct family, but related in that aspect of it. And fortunately, the person has gotten some help and has changed lives and all that business. And think about the people that go, God, I wish a new path was there 127 years ago. But what you're doing, and I'm preaching to the congregation on this, is what we need more of. Is we're going to blow up that stigma. And if nothing else, that is job one. We come back from break. We're going to talk more with Gretchen Burns Bergman. She is the executive director of a New Path, joined by her son Elon Burns, OD prevention specialist and drug and alcohol counselor with the organization. We're going to talk about this cool event that you have coming up in September 26th. It's called Strut for Sobriety, and we'll be right back after this short break.
When you do your banking with Mission Fed, you get great rates on auto and home loans. That's good for you, but something good also happens for a lot of other people. We're not for profit, so we put money back into the community to help lots of great nonprofits to keep San Diego strong. So you're not just getting something good, you're doing something good. Come to Mission Fed. It's banking that's good for all.
Brand amplification is the DNA of Cloudcast Media, and our code is the powerful blending of sound, voice, and storytelling to lift local brands and their communities. Whether it is our Brandcast, Schoolcast, or Causecast platforms, the unifying ethos is all about this community, the one you call home. If you dare to dream and want to explore the brand amplification of Cloudcast, a national leader in local podcasting and other Winfluence strategies, please visit us at cloudcast.us.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media. Listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, the nation's longest-running community podcast, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union. 60 years of doing great things in our community. Honored to have back in the studio a New Path, that's Parents for Addiction Treatment and Healing, Gretchen Burns Bergman. She is the executive director, joined by her son Elon Burns, OD prevention specialist and drug and alcohol counselor. Just what a compelling story you're talking about, and the lives you are saving, including your own, is just huge, and there's a lot more we're going to hear on that. But you guys have a big shindig coming up, and that is going to be on September 26th at the Sheraton San Diego Hotel and Marina, the 22nd annual Strut for Sobriety. You want to start with this, Gretchen, and then we'll pivot over to Elon.
Yeah, this is my favorite day every year. It's better than Christmas, better than anything. It's a day that we're really celebrating people in recovery, and it's a major stigma buster because you're seeing that addiction knows no cultural, social, economic boundaries, that it can happen to any of us, and that recovery happens, right? So my background, besides being a mom, is as a fashion show producer. So I've been doing fashion shows under Gretchen Productions for years and years. So this is an opportunity for I don't know which one's the real job, because Path became my major passion in my life. But,
no kidding.
Yeah, but where the two sides of myself, I guess, come together, and it's San Diego's signature recovery event. You got people walking the runway who were celebrating for 9 months, 20 years, 40 years or whatever on the runway, but they're also walking in a show that includes professional models that donate their time to my favorite cause, and to amazing singers and dancers, and it's just a full inspirational day where you can't leave without crying tears of joy, and it's just kind of amazing. So I hope that you'll all join us on September 26th, and our website is anewpath.org.
And so with that, will it sell out?
Oh, well,
the answer is yes. So in other words, that means people better get their tickets now. And how many folks do you anticipate?
We usually have 300 to 350 people.
Okay, it'll sell out. Okay, so we will make sure that that hits that and that aspect of it. Is there a cost? Is there a fee?
There is. It's $150 a ticket. However,
drop in the bucket.
Anybody that says that they're in recovery, they're currently in recovery, and they want to come, let us know, because we do have angelic sponsorship tickets, and those hopefully will not run out.
What time does it start?
It starts at 10 o'clock with a boutique and silent auction, and then lunch and the award ceremony. We give awards to 3 individuals. They're called Path to Recovery Awards. And this year they're very special, including Dr. Aaron Meyer, local, and Reggie Washington and Alexis Plus. And then the fashion show that will knock your socks off.
No, that sounds wonderful. Elon, are you going to be a part of this? Are you going to be like the MC?
No, I actually have been a guest model before, and I'm obviously going to be there in attendance. Over the years, nieces and family members have modeled in it and
Fantastic.
that type of stuff. It's very inspirational, and calling it a fashion show is not quite. I mean, it is a fashion show, but it's plus. There is amazing singers and dance artists. It's a lot more exciting than that, and it is pretty inspirational. We get other people from the audience to come on stage at the end. It's pretty cool. Yeah, it's pretty inspirational.
No, that's terrific. Are you still looking for sponsors, Gretchen?
Are you kidding?
Because if you said no, I'd say then this is not the Gretchen I know, for God's sake. So sponsors are welcome. Do you do silent auctions? Are you doing door prizes? And you can still take some of those as well?
All of that, yes.
Okay, very, very good. How do they get a hold of you if someone wants to sponsor it?
The phone number at A New Path is 619-670-1184.
Right. And if they want to go ahead and, after hearing this show, jump in on it, do it. It's going to be September the 26th at the Sheraton San Diego Hotel and Marina. Beautiful property. I used to go to a bunch of events there for Meals on Wheels. We used to do their events there as well. Now, they have another program. Am I pronouncing this right? Is it HEART program or is it HEART program? Or
Yeah. So I really believe that the best way to bust stigma is not just tell people things. Some people learn in different ways. They learn visually. They learn through music. So they learn so whatever hits you viscerally. So we believe in art and advocacy, and we have a weekly program at the Brown Building in Center City, and where we combine harm reduction education with any number of like stitching programs or watercolor, or every week it's different. So yes, we call it HART because it's harm reduction with heart and art.
Okay, very good. Art always warms the heart, to be honest with you, in this aspect of it. Elon, I'll start with you on this, and then you can add to it, Gretchen. 27 years and counting, so congratulations on that. Where do you see a new path in the next 10 years? Where do you see yourself in 2036?
Well, hopefully I'll be alive.
You'll be alive. You'll be alive and thriving. You'll be alive and thriving.
Yeah, it's interesting because she said the two parts of her life came together with it. I'm not saying this because she's my mother. She is a force of nature. I don't know how she finds the energy. I didn't get that.
I don't know.
I mean, I do the best I can, but I don't know anyone that can move like she does, and she's very vigilant. So I hope it can maintain the what she's put out for us, because I don't want her to have to be doing this 10, 15 years from now either. I don't know where it's going to go. It's where it's needed. I mean, I hope, like you said, I want to see the day where the stigma isn't so prevalent. I don't know which campaigns will lead us to that at that time. I would have never foreseen us having to do naloxone per se, but as I get older, I'm learning so much more. I got into recovery, because, and I lost hope before recovery,
right?
And that, it was because of my substance use disorder, but it was also because how I was dealt with because of my substance use disorder. I was told I was a criminal. I was told I was no good. I was told I was a junkie. I was going to die anyway. All these other kind of things, and that's the stuff we really got to break. I want people not to be looked at that way if they use drugs. I mean, really, drugs mimic endorphins that we produce in our body that give us pleasure. So evolutionarily speaking, we are programmed to want to feel that way. So the fact that we pretend that that's somehow a taboo thing, or that people didn't do it, or if I felt that way, that's only for dumb people or whatever. It's just crazy. We just need to shift the paradigm a little bit on this, Well,
and that's why I think organizations like yours and the passion, and it really does start with, again, preaching to you folks who know this better than anybody, is blowing up that stigma. Because if you can't blow that stigma up, you can't go down the path on this. No pun intended on this area of it. And to me, the more you stand up, the more you get the pitchforks out. And I'm not sure if there's a slogan, that ties to stigma. No stigma, blah blah blah. I'm making up stuff as I'm going along. But seriously, and where people actually understand that is the very first step in this. And obviously we're going up to Sacramento, and with Narcan and all that business is the way to do that. And just think about 27 years ago, Gretchen, obviously, and where you were 27 years ago, correct?
Yeah.
And here you are now, just doing this amazing work in there. And I know you've got a brother that has some challenges as well, to say the least, right?
He's doing
great now.
Fantastic.
He's got 11 years now, and he's we were kind of planning a funeral, although I always said never, ever, ever give up hope. That's my advice to every parent. But still, there was the times where maybe he's not going to make it. And he made it. He's a drug and alcohol counselor. He's an amazing speaker.
Is he working with a new path? Is he with you?
He also works with us.
Right.
Voluntarily, he's got another job too. But no one can say no to my mom, so she gets everyone to pitch in.
Is he older or younger than you?
He's 3 years younger.
3 years younger, yeah.
No, and it's amazing because I'm a counselor, so I've seen miracles happen, but he was just so far gone, and I'd seen thousands and thousands of people. I just thought he was so far gone that maybe this is one that can't make it. So to see him today, the man he's grown into, I actually look up to my little brother. He's really became quite a man, someone that I didn't know could still be in there.
Well, if you don't get chills listening to the story of the Burns family and all this aspect of it, then obviously we're going to check you in because your heart jumped out of your body in this. But if nothing else, what it does is, as tough as it is, and maybe as trite as it sounds, is absolutely don't lose hope. Because while they're still with us, they're still with us. And when you think all this, and you guys are the perfect example of that. So we're honored to have you on the show. What I'd love to do, and I made this comment to your mom when she first was on, and I'll do this again, and I'm trying to break any HIPAA laws and all that, but we love to have folks who have gone through a new path, okay, and are willing to tell their story, like you have, Elon. If they're willing to do that, maybe have someone come on maybe a couple months down the road. I know it's not easy to do, but we've had people in the past that have overcome their alcohol addiction, and they want to tell their story to other people out there because there's hope, and here it is. So
plus it makes it safe for the next person to be able to tell their story, and 100%. That's really how we break it. Yeah.
Exactly. So if you're interested, we'd love to have you come back and bring in other folks that have benefited from a new path. Of course.
Yeah, and actually my younger son Aaron, he is a good speaker, and he'd be a great person to talk through his journey, which was quite incredible. Right.
We're going to have to get you your own show, for God's sake. Elon, you didn't think you were going to be a podcaster, but now you're going to be doing the New Path podcast.
I do whatever I can.
And we'll say it launched here. Well, again, thank you so much. Gretchen Burns Bergman, the Executive Director of A New Path. That's Parents for Addiction, Treatment and Healing, and Elon Burns, son, OD Prevention Specialist and Drug Alcohol Counselor, wishing you folks nothing but great success. Go to that website. September 26th is their Strut for Sobriety. It will sell out. It's at the Sheraton SD Hotel in Marina. Just was honored to talk to you. I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media. You've listened to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, nation's longest running community podcast, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union. 6 decades of doing great things for people living in our beautiful county. And to our audience, we hope you enjoyed the interview.
You've been listening to an episode of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego community. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.